Before I tell you this story, I want you to pause for a moment. Think of someone you have already given up on. Maybe someone in your family, maybe a neighbor, maybe a friend, or maybe, if you are being completely honest, it could be yourself. Hold that person in your mind, because by the time this story ends, you may see them differently. This is the story of a young boy who grew up in a small, quiet community. He made terrible choices. He hurt the people around him. And then, on one unforgettable night, he did something so unexpected, so quietly brave, that everyone around him was forced to ask a question they had never truly considered before. Can someone who has done wrong still do something truly right? Can someone who has caused pain still bring hope? Let's find out. Every community has a story about a child who slips through the cracks. This young boy in this story was that child. He was born into a struggling family, the third of several children in a home already stretched thin. His father was hardworking but distant, and when the boy was still very young, the man left and never returned. No goodbye, no explanation. One day, he was there. The next day, he was gone. His mother did everything she could. She worked long hours, took on multiple responsibilities, and tried to hold the family together. But she was only one person carrying too much weight. Some nights, when the house was quiet, the boy would hear her crying softly. He never said anything. He didn't know how. What he did know was that something had been taken from him. Something he couldn't quite explain. A sense of security. A sense of belonging. And when a child loses that, he starts searching for it anywhere he can find it. For this boy, he found it in the wrong places. At school, he was one of their brightest pupils and full of promise. Teachers liked him. Other children respected him. But over time, he drifted away. By the time he reached his early teens, he had stopped attending school altogether. He began spending time with older young boys, ones who lived without rules, who took what they wanted, who challenged authority. At first, it started small, mischievous acts here and there. Then it became more serious. They started stealing, first from public places, then from homes. Food, clothing, money, anything they could carry. They would take it and sell it. The community was close-knit. People noticed. Whispers began. Warnings followed. His struggling mother tried confronting him on several occasions, same as the uncles, but all to no avail. He listens to nobody. But by then, the boy had built a wall around himself, a wall made of anger, pride, and the belief that everyone had already decided who he was. So, he stopped trying to be anything else good. One night, things went too far. During a break-in, an elderly man, someone deeply respected in the community, was left half dead because the old man tried fighting back at them while ended up beating the man mercilessly. He survived. But something had changed. This time, there would be severe consequences. The next morning, the Council of Elders gathered at the village square and summoned the community youths. The youths were sent out to find the boy. They tracked him to a hideout outsketch of the village where him and his gang were sharing proceeds of their robbery. He was taken before the elders of the community, who made a swift decision. He would be confined. The holding place was simple but strict, a cluster of small rooms within a fenced compound. It was where those who had broken trust were sent, while their fate was decided. The gate closed behind him. For the first time in his life, he had nowhere to run to. At first, he was filled with anger, angry at the elders, angry at the community, angry at his past, angry at everything. But anger does not last forever. Eventually, it fades. And when it did, Something unfamiliar took place. Silence. And in that silence, reflection. He started reflecting on his poor choices, and guilt followed. Right there, he resolved to do better. He decided to change and become a better person. There was an elderly man in the compound. Not a criminal, just someone caught in a land dispute in the community. He spent his days in the holding place reading. Every morning, he would sit quietly with a worn-out book, reading slowly, thoughtfully. The boy watched him for days before finally asking, "What are you reading, sir?" the boy questioned. The old man looked up and studied him carefully before replying, "Stories about people who made mistakes and what they did after." The humbly asked that the elder borrow him the book. The elder, knowing the kind of person boy have been in the community, was amazed and obliged him. At first, the boy struggled to read. His time away from school had left him behind. But the old man was patient. Day after day, they sat together, working through words slowly. And something began to change. The attitude and understanding started to change bit by bit. He started thinking about the people he had hurt, the fear he had caused, the damage he had left behind. He thought about his mother. He knew he couldn't undo any of it, but for the first time, he truly felt it. And that feeling changed him. He began doing small acts of kindness towards others, helping others read, speaking less, listening more, cleaning shared spaces without being asked. Quiet changes. Soon, he turned his life around. The elder was very happy at the noticeable changes in the life of the boy. Then came the night that would change everything. It was the dry season, hot, still, and dangerous. Near the holding compound stood a large storage building filled with food supplies for the entire community. It was meant for the survival of the community in famine and dry season before the next harvest. That night, the guards of the storage house slept off and left their lamps burning too close to the dry grass wall. One of the lamps fell on the grass wall and caught fire. The wall caught fire and started spreading quickly. The sight of the flame from the roof of the storage bin spread fear in the community. People living close by rushed with water, shouting, trying to contain the flames. But the fire was spreading faster. Inside the holding compound, the only guard meant to secure the gate had left to help quench the fire, leaving the iron gate open. One by one, some of the inmates saw the opportunity and escaped. For a long moment, the boy stood still, watching others make use of the opportunity to run away. Then he made a choice to save the situation, rather than run like others. He ran, not toward the open gate, but toward the blazing storage house. During his time in the holding compound, he had worked on repairs to that very storage building. He knew its structure. He knew its weak points. He ran to the back, where the walls are yet to catch fire, and he began pulling out sacks of grain, one by one, dragging them to safety. Others saw him and joined in. For nearly an hour, they worked through heat and smoke, saving as much as they could. By the time the fire died down, more than half of the supplies had been saved. Exhausted, covered in ash, the boy sat on the ground. When one of the elders approached him, a man who had once spoken strongly against him. After a long silence, the elder asked, "Why didn't you run when you had the chance?" The boy looked up and answered simply, "Because it was the right thing to do." The story spread quickly. By morning, everyone knew. Some people were moved, some were conflicted. Some found themselves softening in ways they didn't expect. Others were not ready to forgive. And that is important. Because what he did that night did not erase his past. The harm was still real. But something else had changed. He had changed. The elders made a decision. He would be released, but not without responsibility. For the next year, he would work to rebuild trust, repairing what he could, helping where he was needed, proving through actions, who he was becoming. He accepted without hesitation. Now, I want to speak to you directly. We all know someone like this. Maybe it's someone close to you. Maybe it's you. Maybe you carry something you regret, something that makes you feel defined by your worst moment. This story is here to remind you that is not the end of your story. Not because the past doesn't matter, but because you are still here. And as long as you are still here, there are still pages left to write. The boy did not change in a single night. He changed in the quiet moments no one saw, in reflection, in effort, in small daily choices. The fire was just the moment the world noticed. Your moment will come too, and when it does, you won't need a speech. You will just need to choose. And remember, doing the right thing, even once, can change everything. And sometimes, that is enough.